Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is one of my one-day landscape jobs where I come in and try to accomplish something that I think a single person or a couple could do on a single day or a weekend. I've got some really beautiful things going in on this landscape. This is going to be several jobs. It's on a very busy street, as you can probably hear already. This is going to be, I think, ultimately five one-day landscape jobs to transform this landscape into, I hope, something very beautiful. So come along with me. I'm going to show you the other four to get you excited for those spaces before we get started. The second one-day landscape job I do on this property is going to be transforming this kind of dry woodland area around this patio into something that they can enjoy while they sit out here around the fire. Part 3 is going to be landscaping behind two existing retaining walls and some screening plants and some lower things around these steps that lead you back up to the front yard. Part 4 will be a screening plant job and a foundation plant job. So screening plants between these two neighbors and trying to find something interesting. We've got low windows here. This one should be an interesting landscape installation. And in the last piece of this puzzle, this really interesting area that has a brick walk coming through it that sits down below the road. This lot is sloped downward, so the house sits down kind of well below the road and has this little hidden garden space here. So I think the first one-day landscape job at this property is going to be super, super interesting. I've got 3 little planting spaces, one here, one right on the other side of this little concrete sidewalk, and about a 3-foot by 30-foot section right here. There's one little issue up here closer to the house is there are a lot of pollinator plants here. She's had an issue with a delivery person not wanting to deliver things to the front door because of how many bees are in that area. So I'm going to relocate a few of these pollinator plants, agastache, salvias, that coneflowers, over here a little further down the line, and put some things in here that wouldn't have bees on them. I understand that issue. Some people do have bee allergies, and it's probably not a good idea to put them right next to, the entrance like that. There are a couple white knockout roses that are going to leave because she's actually already had an issue with Rosette. Okay, there were 3 knockout roses right here that got taken out, bagged, and disposed of because they had Rosette on them. Again, I think it's just a matter of time before these 2 white ones have it, so they're going to go away as well. So I've got to get some perennials moved initially, get these knockout roses out of the ground. A couple little small cleanup things along the driveway area right there, and then I can get started laying the plants out. So I made quick work of eliminating the perennials and the couple roses that were in here. They're over here at the end of the driveway. They're going to go back into some other parts of this job, at least be potted and saved, maybe go to some other job, don't know yet. But they are out of the ground and saved. You noticed I cut them back there because this is super stressful bringing them out of the ground. They won't be able to flower and be dug out of the ground on a hot day like this without cutting them back. So that was the purpose of cutting them back. What I found here is there's about 6 inches of mulch when I started digging. Normally I would plant plants and then, before I left, I would put down some sort of mulch. I'm not going to do that here. I'm actually going to recommend that they leave this mulch and, to break down some more until next year before they remulch. Again, I think it's just been mulched and mulched and mulched and mulched, and it's added up so much that it's just too much organic material. Those roses were buried an extra 4 inches or so. So this won't look quite as finished as a job of mine normally would when I'm done, just because it won't have fresh mulch. But I think it's best in this case to not have, come in here and bury them even more than they already are. So it's time to set up the plants. So Steph and I got them all laid out. I think this layout's going to look great. Leaving a spot here, you'll notice that's empty. for some annuals to be planted season to season. So in a few weeks, pansies could go here, snapdragons could go here. Next summer, it could be whatever sun annuals anybody would want to pick out for this spot. It'll just be prepped and ready for that. I am missing one vertical element that's going here. There's a black dragon Cryptomeria missing that I haven't been able to find a good one, but that'll go into that spot. And so I'm going to go ahead and get them sunk in the ground, and then we'll talk about the individual plants. I haven't even washed my hands. I wanted to show you what it looks like, you know, after this kind of work. I was gonna go and change clothes and then shoot the end of this, and I was like, no, why not? This is what it looks like, right, when you work hard. So covered in dirt, covered in sweat, but it's been a good morning doing this. This is a strange soil mix. There's topsoil was added after this elevated piece was put in, and it was just some sandy, weird mix. And it's like concrete in some spots, and other spots it's loose. Some spots are really dry, some spots are kind of wet. So, you know, I run into that occasionally where soil's been moved around, and you just have to know, you know, that this part of this top's going to require more water than the rest. It's just, that's life. You'll learn that about your landscape as you install things. The plan here was to put 3 vertical elements at the top of this wall, but that are super narrow. So don't really block the house, but we create a little bit of a barrier here. So on this end, there's a sunshine ligustrum planted, and it could reach this high eventually, super narrow. The gaps you're seeing that are left, these perennials that came out of the landscape will fill in some of these holes. In the middle, there's a Tokyo Tower Chionanthus that will get the white fragrant flowers in the spring, and it's super narrow. I've showed this plant several times. I got this down at Superior Plants when I did a video with Jason last week. Down at the end of this line is supposed to be a black dragon Cryptomeria. Haven't gotten it yet, so I'll be missing one spot, but you can see what I did here. Left and right, there's something that gets tall and narrow. In the middle, there's something that gets tall and narrow. You can still see the house, but it's a little bit of a buffer because I want to do this little hidden garden down below and have it be semi-private. Okay, I put in one of these Chef's Choice Rosemary on this side of this big, beautiful lantana, and one on the other side. Chef's Choice is a low-growing culinary rosemary. You know, it won't eat this whole spot. It'll get about this tall. Probably come out here on the brick just a little bit in time, just to kind of buffer this line. This line of bricks isn't perfect, and so, you know, I thought about putting an edge on here, but it's just not perfect. I think you're better off if you don't have the ability to put a perfect edge on. I think things like this lantana coming out onto it a little bit are a good idea, just to kind of hide the line altogether. Moving to the other side of these existing perennials, there are 3 Miss Lemon Abelia, and they'll get 1 to 2 feet tall and about equally as wide. This will just become one mass across here, and they'll bloom most of the summer. Now, and that's about as close as I got anything to the door that's going to have bees. So there's going to be lots of pollinators even the rosemary gets pollinators. Everything going this way will be great for pollinators. Everything going that way will now not be an issue for package delivery person. So again, I got this hole here that is going to be for a black dragon Cryptomeria. It's just a tall, narrow Cryptomeria. Jumping to the other side of the driveway, there's a dragon prince Cryptomeria. This is a low mounding Cryptomeria. So there'll be two conifers here. One will be a low doming one. One will be a tall, narrow one. Behind it are three lemon lime Nandinas. These Nandinas are sterile cultivars, meaning they don't flower, they don't fruit, so they're not invasive, and they have this gold color year round. And so they'll reach in the 3 to 4 foot range, can be kept a little smaller, but they have this gold growth on them all the time. And even showier than they are now. They came in a box to me, and sometimes when something sits in a box for 3 or 4 days or on a truck for 3 or 4 days, dulls them out a little bit, but they'll be super bright and showy. This is another element here, is you have these gold lemon limes, you have the Miss Lemon Abelia, which is variegated, kind of a gold color, and then on the very end over there, that Sunshine Ligustrum. So they're and a juniper that I'm about to talk about. So there's some bright popping gold pieces, and then some just green foliage things to kind of, for those things to pop off of. There's a white wedding hydrangea behind it. It's almost finished blooming. It's going to go to sleep pretty soon. It was crooked in the pot, and when I planted it, I set it straight. So if you're looking at one of these Hydrangea paniculatus, heck, if you're looking at anything in a nursery pot and you see it's crooked in the pot, that doesn't mean anything. If the plant looks good, buy it anyway, because you can. All I did was lean it in when I put it into the ground, and now it's perfectly straight. Behind it are 3 Encore Azaleas, and this is Autumn Empress. These will bloom, 2 to 3 times a year. Here they are in their early, late summer bloom. A lot of times in my area, we'll get a spring flowering, and then a late summer, early fall bloom will be ours. If you're a little further into the Gulf Coast area, you get 3 full rounds on them. It just depends. They settle in and then they do what they're going to do, and that's great. I've always liked Autumn Empress. It's got a nice compact habit, dark green leaves, super showy flowers, as you can see. Leaving this little half circle piece here for annuals. So this will be annual color in the spring, annual color in the winter. The back piece here, this is going to be a very tall vertical element. This is an Oakland Holly. It's actually still blooming a little bit, and it's berrying as well. It's a self-fruiting holly, and it will get as tall as anybody wants to let it get here. It can be kept 6 or 7, 8 feet tall, or it can be 15 feet tall. It doesn't matter, but it will block this side porch, from the street as it grows. It'll take a couple years for it to really get going, and then it'll grow really, really quickly. But it can be whatever you want it to be. One other item that went in. These are firepower Nandinas that are being left, and they will turn bright red in the wintertime, and you can kind of see that transition already happening with the shorter days right now. The 3 junipers that were planted along the edge this is all gold juniper. I've done a video on this one. I don't know if you'll see this video or that video first. You either already know everything there is to know about all gold junipers, or you're about to learn everything there is to know about all gold junipers, but you'll know soon. These are just meant to be a ground cover. They will fill in the space pretty quickly, and they'll actually go even in between these Nandinas in time, and this will just be a bright gold space. You can see down below here, lots of work to do down there for that part of this landscape job, but that little private space down below, I think is going to be super nice. So I just did this 1-day landscape job in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Of course, that wouldn't account for acquiring the plants and all the other stuff. And I've been doing this for a while. That trenching shovel I use, you can see I can make quick work of the soil over here was like concrete, and I can make very quick work of it with that little narrow shovel that I use all the time. I don't own a shovel company, so I'm not making any money off of it. I'm just telling you, it is easier to do. I look forward to coming back here and doing these other 4 jobs and watching how this whole piece transforms. I think I'll probably wait to the end of this whole process over the next few months and then mulch the entire thing, and then we'll see how it all comes together as the 5 1-day landscape job pieces. So thank you guys for following along. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can see these upcoming jobs. Thanks again.